How you going, Priya?
Great.
All right. Good evening and welcome to tonight's Facebook Live. My name is Nancy Abdu. I am the CEO and founder of the Australian Dermal Laser Institute. And tonight I am super excited to have with me on this end here, Pia Connock on Instagram and on here with Facebook.
It's not overwhelming at all looking at different places and spaces. I feel great.
Not at all, right? Now, just really quickly, I can hear some feedback. So I'm wondering if it's you or me.
So do I need to
just mute one?
Just mute one. So I am sorry. I don't know how to mute the... I'll just turn my actual speakers off on here and then I'll turn up. Is this right now? Is that better?
All right, let me talk. Yep, that's fine. Perfect. Hi, how are you?
Hi, everybody. I am really good, and I'm so happy to be sitting here with you, Nancy. I feel like it's just going to be a beautiful way to help people who didn't get the opportunity to join the Inflammageing workshop to understand why it could be so beneficial and so necessary for your ongoing understanding of how to treat both yourself and clients. And that's why we wanted to jump on and share with you, because we feel like what we created was a really divine offering, and that more opportunity that you choose to access it, the better your life is going to be, in our opinion. Not biased at all, obviously, being a presenter.
Not at all. Not at all. But for those of you who missed out or who weren't even aware that the workshop was running or had a conflicting commitment, why don't we give them a bit of a rundown and maybe a little bit of a snippet of potentially what they missed out. Do we want to start with a bit of your amazing, groundwork and breath work?
Oh, I would love to. I actually just offered some breath work on one of my Facebook groups, and yeah, this would be divine for me to do that. And so wherever you are, if you're listening to this in a car while you're driving, you don't need to engage fully with this. Please be really present to the machinery that you're operating at the time. Be safe, be clever with your options. And if you are at home, if you're in a space where you can actually sit back in your chair, and I actually have a pillow behind my back. I have a pillow on my tummy. I'm feeling really safe and supported. It's really delightful. I've set myself up for success in my office, and I have a biomat on. So all of these tools are really helpful for me. My favorite position to begin any intentional, like placing my attention and my focus on myself, is to place my own hands on my body. My favorite position is my heart and also my solar plexus. So just at the bottom of my sternum, basically kind of where your stomach is. And I find those two areas for me are really anchoring in my presence, my awareness, and they help me come home into myself a little quicker. And I love people I create that opportunity, that invitation to close your eyes. It's not that often that we actually choose to intentionally disconnect from too much stimulus. If you could close your eyes in this moment, please do so. And just with your hand on your heart and your hand on your belly, at first just notice yourself. Notice the whole day. If you're here live, if you're watching the recording, whatever time it is, things have happened already in your space. And so can you acknowledge that and also just allow it to soften? And at the same time you allow your day, your night, whatever to soften, you can also maybe soften across your scalp, your forehead, down through your neck. Your tongue can rest. Your shoulders might drop down. You might feel that sense of relaxation and softness move down your arms all the way through to your hands. You might feel your chest open a little. Your belly can soften, and it's a beautiful thing to let go of tightness through your belly. Allowing that cascading gentleness to move all the way down through to your legs, to the soles of your feet, and then coming up the back of your body, moving all the way up through your buttocks, your hips, and then up and down your spine. Just take a moment to breathe up and down your spine, and just imagining that the muscles of your lower, middle, and upper back can just soften a little bit. And you're here, you have arrived, you are in your body. And I'm just going to invite 3 more intentional breaths. Breathing in deeply through your nose. Exhale out your mouth. clearing some space. Inhale. Exhale. One more long, deep, full, rich breath in, like the deepest breath of your whole day, your whole night, your whole life. And then exhale, hold it all the way out, push it all the way out, and then hold that exhale out for as long as you can before you move back into your inhale. And even just that, 1 minute practice, so simple, yet I'm curious whether you noticed a shift already just in that. And of course, the longer that we do it, I would love to we'd go for a whole hour. And I also know that we both would love to share a little more information, but I definitely am asking curious questions of the people listening, or if you're watching the recording, just let us know if that 1 minute practice did something positive or helpful or more comfortable for you or your body. And if you don't do it already in your own practice or in your own day or with clients, do you feel that 1 minute connection could be really helpful for the way people respond to you, your business, and your treatments? I certainly know that in my holistic practice, it absolutely was a game changer when I introduced more of that connection and more of that breath work and more of that, co-regulation between myself and my client. So I absolutely do invite exploration of that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that and for hosting that. Although it was a minute, it's just a little bit of a let me go, I suppose. Tell us, what does that do? How does that help, or if it actually helps, with a little bit of the inflammation and stress levels in the body? Something as simple as doing that for a minute with your client.
Absolutely. I think I did talk about this exactly in the presentation, where most of us are literally like a running head on a body. Like we drag our body around through our day. We're thinking, we're analyzing, we're predicting, like we're literally moving from, this area of our life without really noticing what on earth is happening in my body. Like, how is my breath rate? How is my heart rate? How contracted or tight am I? And people just override their normal body signals and symptoms over and over and over again. And the more we override our body, obviously, the greater the state of contraction, tightness, and inflammation that goes through. Even just the simple things of gait, mobility, and posture can influence inflammation. But certainly when we actually take that opportunity to arrive in our body responds to that. It's literally like any relationship in life. When we feel, like someone's really present with us, when we feel like someone's fully seeing us, hearing us, being with us, doesn't that change everything? And so
Absolutely.
When the practitioner's doing that with the client, that client feels really valued. They feel like they're being really taken care of. So when you're creating that space of co-regulation with your client, where you're both dropping into that space and you're breathing together, even if it is just 3 breaths, it does change the way that you're communicating with each other on subconscious, unconscious, and conscious levels. And at the same time, when there is that softening, that decompression, when your body all of a sudden is like, oh my God, I can let go for it. Is this safe for me to now heal and repair and rejuvenate? Again, there's signals happening in your body where there's a relaxation of your stress hormone signaling. And there's a total shift and change in your body physiology and the way that nutrients are being used and metabolized. And so there is more availability to your treatments, literally just because you have created that presence, that connection, and that awareness. The more that happens, and the more consistent and the more regular that is in that person's life, or with every time they come to see you, it gets anchored in. And so literally people used to walk into my workspace and literally just be like, oh my God, I'm here, I've arrived. And their body would already be moving into parasympathetic, knowing that they were just about to receive. And they could really drop deeply into that space of receiving nurture and nourishment, which so many of us are missing from our lives, particularly if you're women, particularly if you're in business, particularly if you're a skin or beauty or aesthetics person. You are constantly caring for another. And often so in that same time dismissing, minimizing our own needs, our own wants, our own desires, and our own body as we care for others. And so this is a practice that's not just for our clients, it's literally for us, so that we can be better at our job, so that we can have longevity in our job, so that we can maintain passion in our job. Because when our nervous system gets really tired, we get burnt out and there is no energy left. And so this is where my I guess lens and my perspective that I was offering through the Inflammageing workshop was to really deeply help people understand the relevance of the internal functions of the body as it comes to inflammation, and how much that literally changes the trajectory of your healthcare plan with your client, for better or for worse. And so I also feel like as practitioners, we might commonly see the ups and downs. I mean, ups and downs are normal in life, but when people are really have a specific skincare goal in mind, obviously they really want to achieve it, and they are trusting you to take them on that path. And so I feel like it's really up to us to be empowered with knowledge, particularly knowledge that is relevant and accessible to that person. Your breath is portable. It is free. It's available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You carry it with you everywhere. You have so much more control over your inflammatory levels than you realize. And if you were to access your breath and your own presence, your own awareness a little more often, imagine the benefits that would build up over time, and imagine your receptiveness to treatments, your responsiveness to treatments. They will accelerate equally in turn as well. The other benefits also being, as we all know, that our digestive system is where the nutrients come from to feed our skin. We can only do so much topically. The rest of it has to come from the inside. You know, I've heard stats before that it's like the 80-20. So 20% from the outside, 80% from the inside. As a naturopath, I definitely do agree with those stats. Like there are limitations to what our skin can do on the outside, even though with that 20% can be very, very powerful. But our nervous system is in charge of our digestive system. And again, you know, if you're looking to support your client, you know, with advice about nutrition, and obviously working within your scope of practice, if you have a pretty generalized supplementary range, obviously quite different to a practitioner only range, but if you've got a supplement range that you work with in your work, the ingredients of that are going to work better when that person's nervous system is more regulated. Your nervous system has everything to do with inflammation, and it's a really missing step in every other layer of education that I've ever attended as a skin therapist, a beauty therapist, even as a naturopath. There's been these missing layers of education that now I'm so passionate about offering to others, so that they can really understand the difference that they themselves can make, and also embody in themselves, because that's where true leaders are really strong.
Love it. You're always a wealth of knowledge. So from there, I want to ask you, if we incorporate, breath work, and if we incorporate reducing the inflammation and stress levels into our treatment and our practice, does that mean, I've got a couple of questions. One, that the treatment, I know it will be better tolerated because the body will be able to wound heal itself a lot more efficiently and effectively. So outcomes will be heightened. That's not really a question, that was a statement. So I'm assuming that that's correct.
Yes, and actually Tanisa unpacked this really beautifully. So I did my presentation first and Tanisa's was second, and she really spoke about the wound healing process, whereas I concentrated more on the inflammatory process and the fact that it needs to resolve. We need to move away. Like inflammaging means that there's low-grade, chronic, systemic, non-resolving inflammation, and that continues to go on an upwards trajectory as we are aging. So there's that difference between chronological age and biological age. Most people I know are actually living at a much higher biological age than they are a chronological age because of the influences of stress. And as you might know as a skin therapist, that, you know, we have a central HPA axis, hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, that is our stress hormone axis. That is completely matched by our peripheral, our skin-based hormone axis. When we are stressed, when we have a perception of stress, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, our skin is responding in turn, and our skin cells change what they're doing. And so say if someone was in the height of a stress response, they had a crazy week at work, they had sleepless nights, maybe there had been an emergency in their family, and they were booked in for a collagen induction therapy session as their visit for you on that day. In my perspective, there is absolutely no way that I would do that treatment on that day. I would readjust the treatment that I was going to give them on that day to ensure I was putting in to a system that was tapped out of resources. When people are holding stress levels for a really long time, how do they hold it? They hold it with nutrients, yeah? When they run out of nutrients, that's when they move into a dysregulated state. And that's where people can miss these signs and go in and still do the collagen induction therapy treatment. And yes, their client will get a result. But are they getting the best result? Absolutely not. And this is the difference between people who are leaders in their field and people who are followers in their field. And I hope you are a leader.
That's it. Oh, I hope we're leaders. I think we are.
We are. And I hope that people who are listening to us are like, yes, I'm a leader. I'm thoughtful. I'm proactive. I'm empowered with knowledge. Like, this is what makes the difference between great clinics and not so great clinics.
Absolutely. And then I know I led in with a different angle, which was, are we actually causing inflammaging or premature aging when we're using these devices, when all they are doing, or mainly what they're doing, is causing inflammation. So, I end up talking a little bit about that, and topical nutrition. You spoke a little bit about oral supplementation and support. And so, has anyone ever actually thought, and I don't know if we'll get any answers tonight, that, did you actually perhaps, Pia, think, when you're needling someone or when you're doing an invasive or semi-invasive treatment, are you possibly causing premature aging? Did that ever cross your mind?
All the collection of knowledge that I have now, I look back and I'm horrified at the things that I did to myself and to my clients. I was doing the best I could with the resources that I had. And I also was following other people's information without asking enough curious questions, I recognize upon reflection. So I gave my power away, basically. But I used to do microdermabrasions and chemical peels. And I was a chronic insomniac. I hardly even slept. They were not the right treatments for me. It's amazing. I've done a lot of repair work. Like, I'm turning 45 soon. I can't even tell you the repair work that I've had to draw back in to fill the cup of my system, which I completely depleted with. I used to be like, go hard or go home with skin.
I think we all did that. That's because I was never taught, hey, you need to, put in what you take out. Your skin needs all these antioxidants to fight free radicals, and you need to support internally and externally. We weren't really told that.
And honestly, I've met a handful of humans, and particularly women, like maybe one or two in my entire career, that's 27 years now, that I actually felt like their cup was overflowing with vitality. Like, they had plenty to give. They had plenty of resources. 99.5% of the population do not have that full cup of resources, of nutrients available, of understanding of themselves and their skin available. And as I said, like, they're putting their trust in us, and that's why it's up to us to inform ourselves. And this is why education is key. It is so important.
Very important. And I think, we keep learning, we're living. And part of what you and I do is we keep imparting, and we're learning and we're imparting. But I think we don't ever stop to sort of learn ourselves. And I think it's really important that anyone and everyone in the industry, as technology changes and as research evolves, we're also empowering ourselves, and we're passing on that to our clients, or our patients, depending who you're treating. So
totally.
Super important.
Totally. And I guess I want to share with people too, like, my career started off as a traditional beauty therapist, and then I did a lot more study and really went into the dermal arena. And then I moved into holistic therapies, and I have studied functional nutrition. I've studied to be a naturopath. I have added trauma-informed therapies, somatic-based therapies, breath work. Like, my learning has been so intensive. I have got, honestly, I was going to say billions, but obviously it's not that many. I've got so many certifications, and I am really, I'm honestly, like, I have to balance my obsession with wanting to know more, because the more I know, the more I realize I don't know. But I have really, same as you, Nancy, like, we've spent so much time, energy, effort, money empowering ourselves so that we can share it with our people. And like, you literally are reaping the benefits of all of our hard work and commitment, which is a beautiful gift to continue to share through the ripple effects of what we share with you, that you share with your people. And those beautiful ripple effects continue to go out and help grow communities in a way that's sustainable and supportive.
Love it. And I totally agree with you there. So No, we're not doing too bad because we actually started late. I'm thinking, oh, we're going to run out of time, so we'll stay on for a few more minutes. What else did you? Let's say what did you take away? What was your highlight of our workshop?
Well, I actually feel like it's important that people also recognize that I didn't, like, my presentation wasn't just about breath work, even though I love it, I'm a facilitator. I really spent time unpacking, quite complex topics, but my job is to basically open up windows of illumination and perspective for you. And because I'm a holistic practitioner, I love doing that from a really, quite a wide zoomed out angle lens, and then bring it into the specifics by zooming in. And so I did bring in lots of concepts of like global aging and the effects that it's having, but also just ageism and how inflammatory that is. And I certainly know, as a woman who's turning 45, I'm basically halfway through my life cycle. And what does that mean for me? Like, I'm kind of in perimenopause. Like, what does that mean for me? How am I accepting my levels of skin changes and what that means for my feelings of attractiveness? And there are all of these very unspoken about, very subconscious, very unconscious layers to the dynamics of our society and Western culture and media that also impact inflammaging in unheralded ways. And so it's important to, again, just be aware of those dynamics and how they might be impacting your client, but also just the trajectory of the nervous system over the course of our life. But how do you recognize the different signs and symptoms of a dysregulated system? So I brought in all of those kind of bits of information that I felt were the most relevant and the most in scope of practice for skin and beauty therapists, aesthetic therapists. So I really feel like there's a lot of gold nuggets in there for people.
There was a lot of information, definitely a lot of information. They'll have to watch that replay a few times to be able to absorb
I do that very consciously. And you also have all the PDFs, like printouts of the slides. And I do know that, particularly if we're doing a training with a recording, my expectation is that you will re-watch it a few times, re-listen to it a few times, so that you can layer in the learning, so that you'll have other aha moments. Like these kind of courses, I call them kind of multidimensional, because you hear it the first time with the perspective that you have, and then you grow a little, and then you learn a little, and then you absorb a little, and that information kind of settles in. You listen again, and then you're like, oh, whoa, I didn't even hear that last time, or this makes so much more sense this time. And so that's why, Nancy wanted to make this recording available for 90 days to give you those opportunities to deepen your learning, to really settle into your foundations of what inflammaging means for my community, for the people that I serve and look after, and potentially what it means for you as a person.
Yeah. No, and I think they could take away a lot of your knowledge and implement that into their clinic. And I know what Tanisa went through as well. So she went through, she had an hour on Monday and then an hour on Tuesday. So we had, there's 2 hours there of each presenter. Her information was quite relatable, and you can actually take that information and implement that in the clinic. So highly relatable information there, and usable right here, right now. So, you don't have to go off and try anything or start from scratch. All the information's there. My cat. And as for myself, so there was a lot of information on how to use your existing devices, how to incorporate, whether it was microcurrent or galvanic or LED, for the purpose of reducing inflammation in the skin. And the new one was cold shock therapy. So during this whole process, I learnt about cold shock therapy. No, other way around.
And cold shock proteins.
Shock proteins, and cold therapy, and what that does to the body, and how it actually rejuvenates and repairs and reduces inflammation. So there might be some devices in your clinics that you already have that you're not using for the purpose of reducing inflammaging in the skin. And so I definitely went through that, as well as antioxidants and different topical ingredients. So lots of information there. If you want to re-watch that, you can go on over to dermalonlaser.com.au and click the link there to order the recording, and that will be available for you for 90 days as well. yeah, did you want to add anything else to that?
Yeah, I guess the only other thing to add also is that I know that, Nancy, you had a special offer for participants. I had a special offer for participants. So, we're looking to literally support you in your ongoing process. So we provided you a lot of beautiful, accessible, relevant, tangible information. And then we're offering extra layers of support if that resonates with you as well. And yeah, like there's just so much in this for you.
Yep. Will they be able to buy it off your website as well, by the way? We haven't actually discussed that. That's a good point.
Maybe later. Well, I think just for your website for right now might be the easiest way forward.
All right. Too easy. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I know it's been a long day and a long week for you. It's already hump day. But yeah, no, thank you so much. I feel blessed to have, taken part, with this workshop with you. So
and before we jump off, does anybody who's been with us live have any questions or want to ask anything or check in or, offer some of their insights? Otherwise, you can always reach out to me personally afterwards if you want to check in, or I'm sure Nancy would offer the same. Yeah, but thank you for joining.
How can they actually contact you, Pia?
So if you, we'll just add in my handles maybe as a comment afterwards. I will make a comment on the Instagram live so that people can just literally follow that handle link and find me there. I've also got my website, piakynock.com, and then my Facebook pages as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Have a good evening, everyone, and I'll see you next Wednesday night. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.